All right. Welcome to Aggie Chats. This is episode 5. My name is Ashley Salem.
And my name is Kayla Wolfe. This is a podcast produced and run by student athletes, presented by SAAC.
And today we have 2 very special guests from across the pond. Welcome, you guys. Thank you for coming. Please introduce yourself and tell us a little about yourselves.
Thanks for having us. I'm Ade. I'm a senior mechanical engineering major from London, South London. Yeah.
I'm Sarah. I'm a sophomore. I'm an aerospace engineer major, and I'm on the water polo team here from London as well.
I'm on the basketball team. Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Very cool. So you guys are both from London. Did you guys know each other before coming here?
No, we didn't. We met. My team was doing like an international trip to Croatia at the same time the basketball team was. And, like, we went for a dinner with both the teams just to, like, get to know them. And then Ade was sat at a table with some of my friends. And I went to the toilet, and they were like, oh, this guy's from London. And I was like, oh, hey. And that's how we met.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
That's so coincidental. So funny.
Yeah.
So what first brought you to Davis? How did you kind of hear about it, and how did you first kind of get connected?
Through my recruiting program, or like my recruiting process, I was speaking to a couple schools, and Davis came down to watch one of my games. Fortunately, I had a good game. So coach spoke to me and said how interested they were in me and interested in me coming on a visit. And I looked into Davis, and it was a good fit for me. So I thought to look into it and definitely come in on a visit. And after the visit, it was very convincing to stay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. For me, I grew up playing water polo, and I knew I wanted to do it, like, further than, like, 18. And, like, to stay at home, it's not really that much of a program at the moment, and they're trying to encourage people to go to the U.S. to get involved with it. And one of my friends who was at Cal sent me kind of a list of schools to look at, and Davis was one of the ones that she said. So I reached out to our coach, and I came on a recruit trip, and I just kind of fell in love with the team, fell in love with the town, and decided this was where I wanted to spend the next 4 years. So.
That's awesome. Ade, did you know that you always wanted to go abroad, or what kind of sparked your interest with that?
I think with basketball, a lot of people always want to go out of England because America is like the hot spot for basketball, because obviously you have the NBA over here. So, I mean, the best players usually go through the journey of going from, you guys call it high school, but we call it college. You go from there straight over. You come over here, and you either go to like a JUCO, you go straight to a 4-year school. I mean, I was fortunate enough to go straight to a 4-year school, but it was definitely the pathway that a lot of people follow who are good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I like that.
What were some of, like, the things that really stood out to you when choosing Davis? I know you kind of touched on it a bit, Sarah, but...
For me, it was definitely the fact that this school, like, and our team prioritizes academics and doing sport, because, like, at the end of the day, when I graduate, I'm going to have to get a job and find a way to pay the bills. And also the fact that, like, having grown up in London and, like, going to a school right by, like, Big Ben and, like, all these major places, like, to want to, like, go somewhere where it's just, like, completely different. And, like, if there's a time in your life to do something like this, it was kind of now. And, like, seeing cows on the way to practice, like, I didn't do that at home. And it was, like, the small things like that. And definitely the team, just, like, everyone had a love for the sport and a love for school at the same time, which was something I've never, like, really experienced before.
For me, I'll say definitely the environment. You don't get to see enough heat and good weather at home. Definitely a small town plays into it. I'm so used to living in the city. It was a good change of flow, change of vibe. The people, the staff. It was helpful that one of my teammates from home, he was playing here. So that kind of helped the transition be smooth, and it was definitely a factor as to why I came here. I mean, definitely just being in California in the sun, that was a big difference.
You don't get that at home.
Yeah, definitely. I'm from around, like, the D.C. area, back in Virginia, and I can definitely understand the cultural aspect of, like, not being in the city and, like, driving Pascals every day is so interesting. I feel like a lot of other students can't really relate to that across the country. But yeah, no, and it's definitely a really good institution to like grow academically and professionally. Kind of segueing into that, do you think that being at Davis and like being a student athlete here has helped you to reach your personal academic and athletic goals for the future?
If I was to stay at home, I would have gone to like uni for 3-4 years and gone and just like straight up have done engineering. And I feel like coming here, I've had to take like psychology, English classes, and like language classes that at home I wouldn't have had to take. So I feel like graduating, I'm like graduating with what I wanted to do because I got to try out different things, whereas like at home at 18 you have to know what you want to do and it's like go do that. So I feel like that, and also like having to juggle 20 hours of practice each week alongside doing school like helps you with time management and learning all these different skills that like you wouldn't really learn beforehand.
Yeah, totally.
Generally, I would say yeah. But I always like to say like I set high goals for myself, so if I come short of it, it's usually fine. Yeah, like I was able, well, not yet, but I'm about to graduate, so got the degree. Sports-wise, basketball-wise, I put myself in a good position to play professionally or choose the second plan and go work in a business where I can still be financially very stable. Generally, yeah, I feel like I've put myself in a good best situation by coming here and being able to.
I think Davis as a community and as a college itself is kind of slept on, even though we're the like 6th ranked public university in the country. A lot of people don't really know who we are, what we're about. And I think it's kind of special because it's kind of like a if you know, you know sort of situation. But I mean, with us being ranked so high academically, there's obviously, for any individual student that's attending Davis, there's a lot of challenges already. And then student athlete, you just pile more things onto that because your schedule's insane. And then on top of that, like, you guys are not entirely from the U.S., so that's another thing added to that. So, like, what are some of those obstacles that you've faced so far being an international student here?
That's a tough one, you know. I feel like communication a little bit when I was new. You know, I have different words for saying things. I use different type of lingo, so there's a little bit of a communication problem at the beginning, but I kind of got used to it and people understood what I was saying. And another obstacle.
Do you have an example?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of examples. I don't know. What should I go with? Like if I say the boot of a car, you don't know. Like, there's like, what's the boot? It's the trunk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, something like that.
Never would have guessed that.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Or even simple things like getting in the car on the wrong side, because obviously we drive.
I always do that. I always go to get in the driver's seat and I'm like, this ain't me.
Get on the wrong side of the road. Figuring out like taxes, how all that stuff works, because I didn't know we had to do all that stuff until God knows how long.
Social security numbers and stuff.
All of that.
Going to get that was really long. Understanding the school system, it took me a minute to kind of get that.
You know.
And like trying to explain it to my friends and family at home, they're like, "Wait, what? Like, what's a GPA? Like things like that. You don't even know."
Because aren't you ranked? Isn't it like ranked by like how well everyone else does?
Exactly. So it's like there's a curve for the whole country.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's all standardized?
Yeah. Depending on how everyone else does on the board.
Wow.
Yeah, even with like the schooling system, like that 10-week system is very different to what we do.
Everyone at home is like done by now.
Yeah, like my first quarter, I think I was not doing as good, I'm not gonna lie. And then I kind of got used to it, and you have to do your work on time. You have to figure out a good time. I think time management was definitely key. One of the biggest obstacles early on. Figuring out where to get food from, that was hard.
That was hard. I feel like also like coming freshman year, everyone is trying to get used to things as well, so that makes it a little bit easier. But I think something that was definitely hard for me is like knowing that when I came out here, my parents couldn't just drive down the road or like drive 4 or 5 hours to come and see me. But like juggling that with the time difference and like knowing when to call home and like the little things like that you don't really think about until you're here, and then like just kind of working that out and like finding the little things that like remind you of home as well from being so far as well helped me. And also like, you know, when you go home and you have to get all these documents signed and you can't forget because they can be like, no, you're staying here, or like when you get back here they can be like, no, you have to go back home if you don't have it all checked. So
oh my gosh.
and like when you first apply, there's so much stuff you have to do to get the visa in the first place, so just making sure you do that.
Don't leave the country via I-20. I can tell you that off experience.
I cut it close. I forgot to request the signature, and like you're meant to give them like 2 days maybe, I don't know, probably longer than that, but I like woke up the day of my flight back here and I was like, oh no, I forgot to do it. So I requested it before my flight, and then it was like 15 hours later I got here, and I was like reloading my phone, and as I like went up to the guy at security, it like came through, and I was like, okay, I'm good.
That's crazy.
That's so much.
So a laundry list of things that people don't entirely think of either. Like I didn't even think about taxes or all that kind of stuff.
It's the small things, but you get used to it, and like I feel like also for you it's probably different because you came here where a team like has a lot of international students on it, because basketball is one of those teams that naturally do. But for me, when I first got here, I was the first only like out of state person on our team, and now there's like another international student, so it's definitely like nice for me to be able to relay what I know now to someone else to make it easier for someone else, because once you like reach out and you get to speak to someone, then you kind of know what you're doing, and you don't really think about some things that you used to think about.
Totally. Yeah, and you guys are really just like moving your whole lives out here. Every time you come here after like a break, you bring everything with you, and then I'm sure you have to bring everything back home, right?
Yeah. Bringing the snacks back here, though.
Yeah.
Mandatory.
The Percy pigs are good.
The Percy pigs are good.
The Percy pigs are good. Yeah, she shared them with me.
Yeah.
Is there like a difference in style for your sports too, like back in London or abroad versus here? Is there anything you've had to adjust to with that?
Basketball-wise, for sure, I think it's a lot faster over here. It's a lot more athleticism required. Very fast-paced compared to how we play at home. And you guys have 2 halves in basketball, so you have 2 20 minutes, but at home is 4 quarters, so 10 minutes, half-time. And then you do another 2 10 minutes. Those are like the main differences. Besides that, a lot of it is very similar. And I think college definitely is very heavy on tactics and like do this, very X and O based, you know?
Yeah. For water polo, it's kind of a small thing, but I never played in an outside pool coming here, which I know some people out of state have, but like coming here and you're like, wow, like this is nice. Like being in an outside pool is really nice. The game's a lot more physical, but there's definitely like some things that are similar, because I played for my national team as well. So I got to like experience playing in Croatia and stuff, which is where us as a team went, which was super cool to go again. But I'd say like it's mainly just everything, but like amplified. And there's also, for our team, you can have, like, 20 people on a team, whereas at home it's only have 13 people. So, like, subbing and, like, doing all of that stuff is, like, there's a lot more people to compete with, which is something I never really dealt with at home. And just, like, being tactics, scouting teams, we never really did stuff like that beforehand. So.
Oh, interesting. So it seems like there are lots of changes just from, like, daily life and also, like, within your sport having to get used to everything. Is there one thing that surprised you with studying abroad when you came here?
Surprises? I don't know.
I feel like, I don't really know, but like I didn't really decide to go abroad until like 17, and I wasn't too sure if I would be able to do it, kind of thing. And I gave myself like options to, if it didn't work the way I wanted it to do, what I could fall back on and like how I would get over it. But like I'm kind of surprised, having said all these difficult things, I'm kind of surprised how easy it can be made for yourself as long as you surround yourself by the people that can help you through it, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's well said, actually. Yeah. I think if you have that discipline and you have that self-control of, I need to do this and this by then, you give yourself a lot more free time. But it is surprising how disciplined you do have to be. Because, I mean, it feels like it's a lot more laid back than it is, but things come at you fast. Especially, like, maybe you have spring that goes maybe a little bit slower, and then you have quarters like fall and winter quarter that just zoom by, and then you're straight into finals and you're behind on work, and you're in season and you're trying to balance both things. I would say that was definitely a surprise on how disciplined you have to be, for sure.
I feel like another surprise for me as well was, like, how much you kind of get to travel with your team. Because I didn't really expect to, like, be able to go to, like, San Diego and Hawaii and all these places beforehand, and just, like, coming here thinking that I was going to Davis, but realistically I get to see all these other places which I probably wouldn't have seen before. So
yeah, that's a really cool aspect about being, like, a Division I student athlete. I know, like, as an equestrian, our conference is throughout the country, so we're able to go to, like, places like South Dakota and Texas and Florida and everything. So it's definitely a really cool way. I'm out of state, like I said, and just being able to, like, see the country and see the rest of California is really, really neat.
Yeah, it's really cool just being a student athlete and having all these opportunities as well. And just, you know, we get to travel for free, basically. And we get fed pretty well. And, you know, it's really cool, especially traveling in California with our team, because a lot of people are from these places. So then we kind of get to learn about where they grew up and all the things from there.
The way that our team travels as well is super nice, because we, like, go to different, like, parents' houses. And our coach, like, always makes sure that we're eating good food. And it's just, like, the little things that you wouldn't, like, at home, you would, like, say we traveled to Manchester for a game, you'd stay in a Premier Inn and then go to Nando's for dinner. It's, like, it's not quite the same thing. Not that any of you would understand what that really is, but, like, it's not the same thing.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, can you guys share a piece of advice for any other student athletes that might be interested in studying abroad?
What, generally, or people coming to America, or just...
I guess in general. I mean, you guys seem pretty experienced. But...
I don't know. I think some important, have a good support system. Have people around you that have maybe some experiences in other things, so they can advise you with stuff. I think having a mentor is very good too. That kind of helps guide you when you go abroad with stuff like that, because you do have a lot of hurdles that you go through that you don't feel like maybe you can tell the person next to you or whatnot like that. But if you have a good support system, you can always, you have that, what's that word, that release, that exit, that group of people you can speak to, because not necessarily you can speak with people in, like, on your team or whatnot, just because it's a different environment, it's a different sort of culture you build, but with a good support system, you can always speak to them and get over hurdles. Even if it comes to, like, simple things, to what to say, languages to speak, where to go, to hard things, then I think having a good support system is very important.
Yeah. I would say it's kind of along the same lines, but if you're, like, considering doing it, I would say just give it a go. Like, there's not really a lot to lose, and if you know that there's, like, someone at the school that you want to go to that isn't necessarily on your team but is an international student, like, reach out to them, because, like, I would be more than happy to help anyone. I know Ade would, and, like, everyone as an international student kind of understands what it's like to be an international student, and they're all willing to help someone else who wants to do the same thing as us. So yeah, just do it.
Yeah, I love that. I love the building a good support group, and then the way that you guys are also able to, like, want to give that back and support other people is super cool. Well, it was so interesting listening to all of your experiences today. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And stay tuned for our next episode. It's an informational podcast about redshirting.